He was her first love.
She loved him so much.
There was something about this boy. There was no keeping them two apart.
But in one terrible instant, it was over.
She had a bullet in her chest.
They left her to die in the street.
It's shocking, very shocking.
All we did was just cry.
Detectives must dig for answers.
Tell us what happened. The person who did this needs to come forward. I don't think of it as snitching.
And a grieving family demands the truth.
Yeah, I helped cover it up.
You don't do that to somebody you love.
The only thing I want is justice for my daughter.
May 9th, 2018, Rochester, New York. It's after midnight in this city of 200,000, just south of Lake Ontario.
Rochester is the third largest city in the state of New York. It has a lot of charms to it, has a lot of festivals, a lot of places to hike. But at the same time, Rochester has a dark component. It's one of the most dangerous cities in the entire country. It is also one of the poorest cities in the entire country.
It is pretty high crime for as small of a city as we have. There are several nice neighborhoods and then several bad neighborhoods.
At 12:35 a.m., in one of the city's rougher neighborhoods, the Northern Crescent, patrol units respond to a 911 call on Delamain Drive.
There was an anonymous caller reporting that there was a person shot.
The individual who called 911 was not giving up much information other than that the person shot was in Delamain.
When officers arrive at the address the caller had given, they find two young women in the driveway outside the house.
One was kneeling down and she had another female propped up against her.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Officers are not yet sure this is the gunshot victim.
What's wrong with your friend?
I don't know.
He appeared to be somewhat lethargic, kind of out of it.
Did you call 911?
No, I just sounded like this.
The young woman identifies herself as Haley Winters.
The young woman, 18-year-old Haley Winters, said that she was walking down the street when she found the victim collapsed in the driveway.
It doesn't take long for officers to notice blood on the victim.
The officers were able to observe what appeared to be a contact wound to her arm.
Who shot you? Can you hear me? Who shot you? What's her name?
Sierra Grimes.
Sierra, can you hear me?
Sierra is unresponsive, but doesn't appear to have lost too much blood.
It was puzzling for the officers at the scene because the bullet wound to her arm didn't appear all that severe.
But officers soon realize the wound to her arm isn't Sierra's only injury.
A bullet had traveled through her arm, entered her chest cavity under her armpit.
She's got a severe gunshot wound to her chest. Go ahead and start me an ambulance. One female and gunshot wound.
Oh my God, Sierra!
Is there still time to save this young woman's life? 18-year-old Sierra Grimes grew up in a tight-knit and loving home.
We had so many good times, me, her sister, and her brother.
She just loved being around family.
We would just sit on the couch for hours and just binge watch different shows.
However, while Sierra loved spending time with her family, the teenager was very social.
She wasn't shy. That's one thing I can say about Sierra. She wasn't shy. She was a very outgoing girl.
She loves the hip-hop scene. She loves all that. Anything with music, she was into it.
She loved to sing it. She loved to dance.
She was a people person. She's crazy and fun.
She was a very, very loving girl.
But Sierra also had a little bit of a tough side.
If she has something on her mind, she will tell you.
She's a little sassy. As soon as you do something she don't like, she's blunt about the situation, and she's upfront, you know?
She was a fighter. She didn't take no crap from nobody.
She's gonna stand up for what she believes, and she doesn't care what nobody says.
Sierra was not scared to tell anybody how she felt.
Including her feelings for her classmate, 17-year-old Jermaine Brown.
Sierra liked him so much, but let him know. He was pretty cool. Like, he was nice. I think like 14, 15, when they first was just a little fling.
In middle school, they just was texting on the phone. You know, they tried a little puppy love relationship, from what Sierra told me.
By the time Sierra was 18, the couple's puppy love had turned serious.
He used to come over every day, and we used to bake cookies. Me, him, and Sierra used to bake cookies together because there was never a day he didn't come over and didn't want cookies.
Making my favorite, I see.
How are they?
Sweet. Like you.
Their relationship, it was good. It was really good.
They seemed like they had love there. It seemed like it was real.
Can you guys get a room?
She could go talk to him about certain things. She wouldn't feel comfortable with talking about me or to my mom or to certain people, you know? That was her person to confide in, you know what I'm saying? That's that person made her feel safe.
He was kind. He was nice and gentle.
He had also become a part of the family.
I loved Jermaine, and my daughter was good to him, and so was my family.
As much as Sierra cherished her relationship with Jermaine, she never lost sight of her future.
She was about to graduate from high school. She knew what she wanted to do.
She was gonna sign up for school for cosmetology. She loved doing hair. She had a passion for that.
She did hair all the time. In my house, it was hair everywhere because they would use the extension hairs and stuff and braid and stuff. All the girls used to come over.
She wanted to be out there, do something, interact with people. And doing hair was that for her.
But the bright future ahead of Sierra was in serious jeopardy. On the night of May 9th, 2018, an ambulance arrives to try to save the life of the 18-year-old.
First responding officer saw that Sierra had suffered a gunshot wound through her chest.
She was fighting for her life, and my sister was strong.
They bring an ambulance, they transport her to the hospital.
As the EMTs load Sierra into the ambulance, officers at the scene turn to Haley Winters, the young woman who'd been holding Sierra when they arrived.
All right, so what happened?
I don't know. I was walking down the street and I just found her here.
She claimed that she found her laying in the street and didn't realize that she had been shot.
But is she telling the truth?
It seemed a little suspicious.
You hiding something. You know something.
18 years old and only a few weeks away from graduating high school, Sierra Grimes had a bright future ahead of her.
She was very excited. She was ready. She wanted to go to school for cosmetology.
Sierra had also found love with 17-year-old Jermaine Brown.
Sierra and Jermaine had basically been together since middle school.
She loved him so much, and he was always with her.
But now, not long after midnight on May 9th, 2018, paramedics and police have just responded to a 911 call and arrived to find Sierra with a gunshot wound to the chest.
There was a 911 call that came in from an anonymous caller that there was a person shot.
Police responded to the address the caller gave and found Sierra and her friend, Haley Winters.
She was kneeling on the sidewalk near the street, and she had Sierra Grimes propped up against her, and she was holding her.
Haley had no information in regards to who called 911.
Detectives arrive on the scene moments after the ambulance rushes Sierra to the hospital, and talking to Haley is their first priority.
Do you think she's gonna be okay?
I'm sure the doctors are gonna do everything they can.
Were you two friends?
Yeah, we were supposed to hang out tonight. She sent me a text saying we should meet up.
Where?
On the corner up the street.
She indicated that as she was walking up the street, she observed Sierra at the driveway.
When I saw her, I could tell something wasn't right.
Haley said Sierra was stumbling around, and as she approached, Sierra collapsed in the driveway.
And she didn't say who shot her?
No, she couldn't really speak.
Detectives have doubts that Haley's telling them the whole truth.
The first clue my partner and I had that Haley wasn't being completely honest was the way they were dressed.
Sierra and Haley were wearing tank tops and shorts, and in Rochester, Maine, it's not considered very warm that time of day.
So it didn't appear that she'd been walking down the street. It appeared that they had both just come out of a house.
Detectives didn't actually suspect that Haley was the shooter. but they did think that she knew more than she was telling them.
Rather than let Haley go, detectives ask her to wait in the back of a squad car.
Am I in trouble?
No, but we may have a few more questions. Why don't you get warm in the back of the cruiser?
We definitely thought she was an eyewitness right from the beginning. I don't think she realized at the time the gravity of the situation.
Once Haley is secured in the car, officers at the scene inform detectives they've detained another friend of Sierra's they've located nearby, Deshaun Sweet.
Officers saw him walking down the street and stopped him to see if he was a witness or if he knew anything.
He said he didn't see anything.
You know Sierra?
Yeah, they told me she just got shot.
He seemed kind of confused and upset because he claimed to be very good friends with Sierra, so he was emotional.
Where were you headed when the officer stopped you?
I was headed home. I stay right down there.
The address Deshaun gave detectives just happened to be next door to the house where they found Sierra lying in the driveway.
He indicated that he had went to the store to purchase candy.
We felt Deshaun was simply not telling us the truth.
Suspecting Deshaun also knew more than he was letting on, detectives put him in the back of another patrol car.
Didn't do nothing, man.
I want you just to sit tight and get this thing figured out.
With two potential witnesses at the scene, a couple who live just down the street approaches detectives, claiming they have vital information.
Y'all want to know who shot that girl? You need to start looking in that house there.
The neighbor indicated it was the house next door to where police found Sierra, the same house Deshaun claimed he lived in.
It was kind of a nuisance house in the neighborhood, always loud music and people coming and going.
Neighbors definitely knew of drug activity happening there.
As soon as I heard the shot, I knew exactly where it came from.
You heard the shot?
Yes.
Did you call 911?
No, that wasn't us.
They were pretty fearful of the activity going on at the house.
If what they were telling detectives was true, it sounded like Sierra's shooting had something to do with the drug activity at the house.
After talking to the neighbors, detectives approached the suspected drug house.
As soon as they climbed the front steps, the detectives were fairly certain the neighbors were right to have been suspicious.
Check it out.
Blood?
Yep.
To detectives, it's clear where Sierra had been shot.
We were pretty confident that was the crime scene because of the blood on the porch.
Could Sierra's shooter still be inside?
As detectives approached the door, they spotted someone peering at them through the blinds.
There were people inside and they refused to come to the door.
Open up. We need to talk to you.
Better talk to the judge, then.
They indicated that in order for us to enter the house, we would need a search warrant.
If you didn't do nothing, you're not gonna barricade yourself in the house.
Now detectives were all but convinced they would find Sierra's shooter hiding inside. Police now had a potential active shooter situation.
Detectives investigating the shooting of 18-year-old Sierra Grimes believe they've just located the crime scene.
Detectives discovered blood on the porch of the house next door to where Sierra was found lying in the driveway.
People were in the house, they weren't coming out.
Rochester police are now involved in a potentially dangerous standoff.
We called in for the SWAT team and someone from our unit started writing a search warrant for the home.
As detectives await their warrant, they receive disturbing news from the hospital.
Sierra was transported to the hospital and she was pronounced dead at about 1:45.
Detectives are now investigating a murder, but for the moment, they make the difficult decision to hold off on notifying Sierra's family.
We wanted to have the witnesses believe that Sierra was still alive and that she would be able to communicate with us and tell us what actually happened. So it was kind of an investigative tool.
As morning comes, and with the SWAT team en route, detectives uncover what could be another valuable tool for their investigation.
There was a video surveillance on the exterior of the house right across the street.
Detectives knock on the door and make contact with the homeowner.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. We're investigating the shooting across the street there.
Oh, Lord. Is she okay?
I'm afraid not.
Before detectives get to the security footage, though, They asked the neighbor if he'd witnessed anything unusual the night before.
I heard something that sounded like a shot. I looked in my window and I saw that they were carrying her outside.
The witness said the group stood around outside for a minute and then fled.
A couple males walked away from the scene and some females went back in the house.
They just ran?
Yeah, all except one girl. She stayed until you guys showed up.
Now detectives knew that Haley was definitely lying.
Detectives also wonder about Deshaun Sweet, the young man police picked up down the street from the crime scene.
Could he have been one of the young men who ran away? And if so, could he have also been the shooter?
Do you think you can identify either of the guys that ran off?
I don't know. It was pretty dark.
Is there any chance, though, that we could access your security footage?
Yeah, of course. Let me get that security footage for you.
Our technicians were able to download the video and bring it back to our office.
And now the SWAT team has arrived and descends on the house where police believe Sierra was shot.
Copy that. Moving now.
Rochester, please, search for her! They went in with their weapons drawn. They had to be ready for anything.
They don't know what they're walking into.
The team quickly clears the first floor. In an upstairs bedroom, they find a closed door and prepare for the worst.
Get your hands up, let me see them. Get them behind your head.
The SWAT team finds two women who quickly surrender. As word of the standoff spreads to local news stations, camera crews arrive in time to capture the aftermath.
The women that were in the house were escorted out by the SWAT team.
Their names are Tamika Wilson and Tamra Stevens.
They were brought to our public safety building, our headquarters.
With the location secured by the SWAT team, detectives begin their search of the house. And it doesn't take them long to find evidence that strongly suggests Sierra had been in the house at some point.
Police found her ID, and they also found a letter addressed to her.
Despite the cache of evidence proving Sierra was in the house, detectives find no evidence of a shooting.
There was no blood. There was no casing from the gun. There was really no crime scene.
While the house turns up little evidence, just down the street, officers uncover what could be the murder weapon.
The weapon was found a couple doors down in a driveway under a pile of leaves.
It was immediately sent in for testing to determine if it could have been the cause of Sierra's injuries.
After finding the weapon, detectives return to the station and review the surveillance footage from across the street.
It was a crucial piece of evidence because we were able to see that Sierra was actually carried outside, left at the curb, and that a couple males walked away from the scene and that some females went back in the house.
The video was of decent quality, but not enough to identify people by their face.
We could tell who Deshaun was. His clothing was pretty distinctive, and who Haley was because she stayed with Sierra.
They could identify all of the people except one.
Now the question becomes, who is the last person in the video? To find out, they start interrogating the 4 people they have in custody, one at a time.
We confronted the witnesses with the fact that we saw the video.
We know you were there for a fact, straight up. We kind of got a good idea of what happened and what went down.
We know she was shot inside the home because other people have been talking and saying stuff.
One by one, the witnesses refuse to budge.
I didn't see what happened.
I don't know who was there last night. I'm telling you, like, I was really asleep.
They were very uncooperative, kind of had an anti-police attitude.
For the next several hours, detectives keep pressing.
Investigators knew that whenever there were several people refusing to talk, there was always one weak link.
Well, I don't even know what to tell you guys, so it's like I go to all the time.
Detectives investigating the death of 18-year-old Sierra Grimes are questioning 4 possible witnesses to the shooting: Haley Winters, Deshaun Sweet, Tamika Wilson, and Tamara Stevens.
Haley was with Sierra when police arrived. They found Deshaun walking down the street nearby, and Tamara and Tamika were inside the house where police believe the shooting occurred.
Deshaun, Tamika, and Tamara all say they don't know what happened.
It seemed as though they were kind of guarded in the information that they were giving us.
Which means that Haley, who police found by Sierra's side after she'd been shot, is now their only hope.
And we're not asking you to snitch on anyone or tell on anyone.
During our interview with Haley, we had to kind of take baby steps with her.
Although detectives did not shy away from putting Haley on the spot.
Here's the problem. We have been looking at cameras. You were not out there alone with her.
We confronted her with the video that we had watched and that it didn't match with her initial story.
Caught in her lie, Haley decides to talk.
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you guys everything going on. So,
Haley tells detectives that she and Sierra went to the house because Sierra was supposed to meet a boy there.
I really don't know which boy she was going to see.
Haley said that Sierra had never told her the guy's name.
Haley explains that at the house, she and Sierra went upstairs.
Sierra went in the bed. It was like a way back room. And so I went in the bathroom.
Haley says she was only in the bathroom for a few minutes.
I came back out and I just heard mad yelling and stuff like that.
Haley tells detectives she ran downstairs to see what was going on and found Sierra lying on the ground.
Go out there and Sierra's like laid out, and then like there was like tapping her.
She claimed Sierra was surrounded by 3 other people who, from Haley's descriptions, sounded like Deshaun, Tamara, and Tamika.
Haley said that when she asked what happened, no one really answered her question.
They just tried to get from me to do mad different stuff.
Haley says they carried Sierra off the porch and into the neighbor's driveway.
She like really hurt.
Haley, make sure you stay with her.
Haley claims the others left her alone with Sierra, and she didn't have her phone.
Detectives figured it was probably Tamika or Tamara who reported that shooting to 911.
Haley's story fits most of what the detectives already know, but they also suspect she's still holding back.
Maybe you could actually help them. Maybe this is your opportunity. You think you're gonna hurt someone? Maybe you're gonna be helping someone.
Because I really would have, I would have snitched by them. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Nobody showed me a gun.
While Haley tries to convince detectives of her honesty, they have caught her in yet another lie.
There are 4 people besides Sierra in the video. Haley claims there were 3. So who is she protecting?
Did somebody leave that we don't have in custody right now? I think Haley initially had a hard time telling us the truth because she was very scared.
Do you understand that you almost could be an accomplice to this? So we're trying to help you.
Even with the possibility of her arrest on the table, Haley hesitates.
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Going out.
However, detectives still have one card left to play.
We actually told Haley that Sierra had passed away.
They went through her arm and into her chest.
Are you dead serious? Are you dead serious?
Upon hearing the news, Haley completely broke down.
I wish I could tell you otherwise, but...
Yo, no she didn't. No she didn't.
But now that Haley knows that Sierra's dead, will she finally tell all?
And I know you're worried about talking, but you have to realize that the people in the house treated Sierra like she was a piece of trash and just took her out of the house and threw her on the front lawn.
However, despite detectives' best efforts to coax the truth out of Haley, she refused to identify Sierra's killer.
I really want to tell you, I know I was...
Getting nowhere, detectives leave Haley to stew in the interrogation room. Now, more than 7 hours after the 911 call that reported the shooting, detectives take the opportunity to reach out to Sierra's family and give them the tragic news.
A death notify is probably one of the worst parts of our job, something we don't enjoy doing.
We went to talk to Sierra's family later that morning, and we had to let them know that she had passed several hours earlier at the hospital.
The detectives came to my house, and that's the worst pain a person could go through.
I couldn't believe it, and I just started going crazy. Like, I just started bugging out.
Sierra's family said they were worried when they woke up and Sierra had never made it home. Now, their worst fears have come true.
They didn't call me. That is unacceptable.
Learning Sierra died hours earlier made the awful news even harder to bear. Even if it was to help flush out the truth about who shot her, the family was very upset they weren't told.
However, the family accepts that if it helps solve her murder, perhaps it will be worth it. Through their grief, they offer some vital information for detectives.
Sierra's family, they were very distraught, but immediately gave us answers as to who may be responsible.
As soon as we told Sierra's family that she passed away from a gunshot wound, they immediately told us that Jermaine, her boyfriend, had to be involved.
Hours after her death, Rochester detectives are making progress in identifying who shot 18-year-old Sierra Grimes.
Police had detained 4 people that they believed knew the truth.
They were very uncooperative, and it really slowed our investigation down.
But when detectives speak with Sierra's mother, the case takes a critical turn.
I was afraid he'd do something like this.
Who?
Her boyfriend, Jermaine.
We learned Jermaine Brown's name. He and Sierra had been together for a couple years.
He started off as a respectful, quiet boy.
However, Sierra's mom says that about a year into the relationship, things changed.
He started to get really bad. Like, he was always kicked out of school.
He started selling drugs and doing things he wasn't supposed to.
Jermaine soon found himself in trouble with the law.
Every time he went to jail, I had to take her to go see him. She would throw tantrums, begging me. That's how much she loved that boy.
When he was out of jail, Jermaine would test Sierra's devotion in other ways.
He started cheating on her, just being unfaithful.
And it just got worse and worse.
But Sierra's family did not know the worst of it for a long time.
One day, my mailman came and knocked on my door and told me that my daughter was being beat by him on the next street.
She was the victim of domestic violence on many occasions.
Family and friends all implored Sierra to stay away from Jermaine, but she refused.
She loved him a little bit more than she loved herself.
Her excuse all the time was, well, in his childhood, he wasn't raised well, so that's why he's acting like this with me now. And I used to just tell her, you can't make excuses for him.
Sierra's mother also ordered her daughter to stop seeing Jermaine, but it didn't work.
I walked in my house one day, and he was there, and he wasn't supposed to be there. And she had a green hat over her head and wouldn't look at me.
Take it off.
Mom, no. Mom.
Take it off.
My sister had cuts, bruises all on the top of her forehead, a big lump.
You.
I seen the lumps on her head. I grabbed that boy, and I nearly strangled him and told him, you better stop touching my daughter, because I was gonna call the cops on him. And he said he didn't care.
He said, even if you call police, she's still gonna leave with me. She's not gonna press charges. He knew he had that hold over her.
Come on, Sierra. Let's go. He really had her messed up in the head.
After that, Sierra had cut off communication with her family for 3 weeks. Then came a phone call from Sierra in the middle of the night.
It was my daughter crying. And, Mommy, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. He hit her with a 2x4.
Sierra's mother raced to her daughter's side and drove her to the hospital.
She was in bad shape.
She was just like, Mom, why does he keep doing this to me? Why does he keep hurting me?
I told her, baby, it's not your fault. Nothing that he's doing right now is your fault.
Her family believed it was the last straw for Sierra.
She finally ended up going and getting an order of protection against him.
The order was dated May 3rd. 6 days later, Sierra was dead.
Sierra's family is certain that it's no coincidence.
It's my baby son.
Detectives leave Sierra's family to grieve and begin their investigation into Jermaine Brown. When they pull Jermaine's criminal record, it confirms everything the family told them.
Jermaine Brown was known to the Rochester Police Department prior to this for drug sales, gang activity.
And he did have a history of domestic violence with our victim.
There was an active order of protection that he was supposed to stay away from her.
But had Sierra stayed away from Jermaine?
According to the police record, his most recent known address was the house where police believe the shooting occurred.
Furthermore, detectives learned Tamika Wilson and Tamara Stevens are Jermaine's sisters.
Which explained why they were so uncooperative with the police.
Doubting Tamika or Tamara would turn on their brother, detectives try witness Haley Winters one more time.
This time, when detectives revealed what they already knew about Jermaine and Sierra's relationship, his abuse, and her restraining order, Haley finally broke.
Haley now admits that she and Sierra had met up with Jermaine Brown and Deshaun Sweet at a local park on the afternoon before the shooting.
According to Haley, this was the first time Sierra had seen Jermaine since she took out the order of protection.
She knew that it could be a danger to her to be around him, but she didn't care about it. She wanted to be around him.
According to Haley, things went so well that Sierra agreed to come over to Jermaine's house at 11:30 that night.
He was supposed to meet us, like we were going over there.
Haley says that when they got to the house, she and Sierra were hanging out with Jermaine and Deshaun in an upstairs bedroom.
That was when this gun was actually pulled out by Jermaine.
Yo, check it out. Ooh.
Is that real? Where'd you get it?
Bought it off this dude.
Can I hold it?
She just was like, oh, let me see. Here you go.
She indicated that he thought he made it safe by pulling the magazine out.
However, he didn't hand over the gun to Sierra.
Jermaine pressed it up against her arm,
saying something to the effect of like, I should shoot you, laughing.
Jermaine, quit playing.
I should shoot you right now.
That's not funny, Jermaine. Stop. Jermaine.
Chill. It's not even.
The gun went off.
Ah! Jermaine!
He took the clip out, but one bullet was in the chamber.
Sierra, are you okay?
Haley says that after the shot went off, Sierra stumbled out of the room and the others followed.
According to Haley, no one was really sure just how badly Sierra had been hurt.
She made it down the stairs, and then she fell. Like, that was it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the heck is going on?
Get out of the house.
Let's go!
Haley admits that's when Jermaine and Deshaun carried Sierra out of the house and over to the neighbors.
Sierra, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay, okay?
Jermaine, you gotta get up out of here. Right now. Go!
Haley says Jermaine was concerned about Sierra, but because of his legal history, he fled.
Go! Get out of here now! Go!
Despite the fact that the decisions made that night cost Sierra Grimes her life, Haley swears that her death was just a tragic accident.
But was she telling the truth? She had been caught in multiple lies at this point.
Could she have been trying to shield Jermaine from a murder charge?
Less than 24 hours after 18-year-old Sierra Grimes was found mortally wounded, Rochester detectives finally have their shooter identified as Sierra's boyfriend, 17-year-old Jermaine Brown.
The story of what happened was Jermaine was playing with a gun, laughing, and put the gun up to Sierra's arm, and it went off.
Given Jermaine's violent history towards Sierra, detectives have their doubts.
They had several domestic incidents where he had put his hands on her and caused her physical injuries.
What detectives needed was something or someone to corroborate Haley's story.
After the interview with Haley was complete, Terry and I decided to go back and talk to Deshaun.
We would like to figure out what happened to her.
Once detectives revealed that they knew Jermaine was the shooter and had video to prove he was there, Deshaun came clean.
He did do that, though.
His story was consistent to what Haley had told us.
Deshaun also admits what he was doing when police picked him up down the street from the crime scene.
Deshaun admitted to hiding the weapon.
Detectives have one more pressing question for Deshaun.
Well, where did Maine go?
With no leads on Jermaine Brown's whereabouts, Rochester police spend the next 5 days searching for Sierra's killer.
He did go on the run.
On May 15th, the search abruptly ends when police learn Jermaine is due to appear at the courthouse on an unrelated charge.
Through interviews of other individuals, we learned that Jermaine may possibly be going to the Hall of Justice, which is right next to police headquarters, to deal with another matter, another arrest that he had.
So we were on the lookout for him, thinking if he shows up for his other court case, and he was stopped right in front of our public safety building and taken into custody.
He had on a memorial type of T-shirt. It was a picture of him and Sierra Grimes that said forever on it.
People were wondering if he really was feeling remorse over what he had done, or maybe he was trying to put on a facade and pretend like he was missing her and he had nothing to do with what had happened.
Once they have Jermaine in custody, detectives attempt to get his account of what happened.
You dumped her at the curb like you take the garbage out on Sunday. So if you loved her, that's hard for us to explain. He showed no remorse. He didn't show any sadness.
The interview quickly concludes.
I can't answer no further questions.
He was only concerned for himself.
Despite Jermaine's lack of cooperation, his arrest is welcome news for Sierra's family.
Nothing was more satisfying than getting that call, knowing that police got him.
But will the family still be satisfied when Jermaine is formally charged?
Because all the witnesses claimed that the shooting was not intentional, the DA charged Jermaine with manslaughter instead of murder.
The definition of manslaughter is that you recklessly caused the death without intending to kill or harm.
The DA explains to Sierra's family that a murder charge might not hold up in court.
He said they're gonna make it look like kids were playing in the house with the gun and the gun went off and killed her. And he was gonna get off scot-free.
It made it for a very difficult case to prosecute.
Given Jermaine's pattern of abuse towards Sierra, her friends and family believe the charge should be murder.
If it was an accidental, you don't do that to somebody you love. You don't drag them outside and leave them to die.
Jermaine may not have meant to kill Sierra, but he definitely didn't try to save her either.
Why did y'all throw my baby in the freaking driveway and left her there? Where is your humanity? Not just him, the other kids.
The DA also decides not to press charges against the witnesses who left Sierra to die.
For Sierra's family, that was almost as big of a slap in the face as Jermaine's manslaughter charge.
I try to put myself in their shoes. I know they were scared. But if it was an accident, why didn't they help my baby?
That's wrong. That's basically saying if one of my friends shoots somebody in front of me, I can go and help them cover it up and don't face nothing.
The only thing I want is justice for my daughter.
But when Jermaine pleads guilty to manslaughter in October of 2018, his sentence is a blow to the family.
He received a sentence of 2 to 6 years.
It leaves me speechless. They gave him a slap on the wrist.
What justice is that?
However, despite their pain, the family still has room in their hearts for forgiveness.
I don't want him dead. Not at all. I forgive him. I have to. For me to move on, I have to. And one day I will right him. I sure will. So he can remember what he did. Because I'm pretty sure he's not thinking about her every day, but I do every day. She was very special.
Sierra's friends and family hope that her story can spare others from suffering the same fate.
Your first love is not always your right love. It's not always your true love. And it's not always love to begin with.
People like that's ever been in like a violent situation with another partner, don't waste your time, don't waste your energy. Leave them alone before it's too late.
The humid Texas air of August 1984 did not move. It hung over Brazoria County like a wet wool blanket, thick with the scent of sun-baked asphalt, cut Bermuda grass, and the faint, sweet decay of river silt drifting up from the bayous. On Pecan Grove Lane, the sprinklers clicked and hissed in steady, hypnotic rhythms, throwing silver arcs across emerald lawns. Children's bicycles lay tipped over on driveways. Screen doors slapped shut against wooden frames. It was the quintessential portrait of suburban American safety, a sun-drenched sanctuary where nobody locked their front doors, where neighbors traded lawnmowers over chain-link fences, and where darkness was only ever supposed to be the absence of light, never the presence of evil. Then came the silence, a heavy, unnatural stillness that choked the cul-de-sac just before sunset. Inside number 412, the ceiling fan spun on high, cutting the stifling heat into rhythmic chops. On the linoleum floor of the hallway, 22-year-old Clara Bennett lay motionless. The blood was still warm, pooling into the grout lines, creeping toward the edge of the floral wallpaper. There was no sign of a forced latch, no shattered glass, no splintered door jamb. The intruder had not broken in. He had simply stepped through the front threshold, welcomed by the innocent trust of a summer afternoon. When the first patrol unit rolled down the street, sirens wailing against the quiet dusk, neighbors spilled onto their porches in disbelief. Among them, standing at the edge of his immaculate front yard just 20 paces away, stood a 26-year-old mechanic and Sunday school volunteer. He stood with his arms crossed, watching the flashing red lights paint his own living room windows in crimson strokes, shaking his head alongside the grief-stricken crowd. For 4 decades, the killer did not run. He did not flee across state lines. He did not change his name, shave his beard, or vanish into the shadowy underbelly of a distant city. He stayed. He mowed his lawn every Saturday morning. He attended Clara's memorial service. He brought casseroles to her grieving parents. He watched an entire town slowly forget the terror that lived directly across the fence. This is the chilling anatomy of the Texas 1984 cold case, the horrific murder of Clara Bennett, the 40-year nightmare that paralyzed an entire county, and the shocking breakthrough that proved the monster was hiding in plain sight the entire time. The crime scene inside 412, Pecan Grove, was a theater of raw, unvarnished brutality. When lead detective Marcus Vance of the Brazoria County Sheriff's Department stepped through the front door at 6:45 p.m. on August 14, 1984, the sheer violence stopped him in his tracks. Clara Bennett had been an honors student at the local community college, working part-time at the county library, beloved by everyone who knew her. She was gentle, soft-spoken, and fiercely protective of her family. Yet the room before the investigators told the story of an explosive, predatory attack. A glass of iced tea sat half-melted on the coffee table, condensation dripping onto a coaster. A textbook lay open on the dining table. There had been no struggle at the door. Clara had known her killer, or, at the very least, had felt comfortable enough to turn her back on him. Forensic technicians moved like phantoms through the sweltering house, dusting every surface with black magnetic powder. The perpetrator had left behind a nightmarish aftermath: ligature marks around Clara's neck, defensive wounds along her forearms, and deep lacerations that pointed to a frenzy of rage and control. Yet, despite the chaos of the struggle, the physical evidence was maddeningly sparse. In 1984, the forensic revolution had not yet arrived. There was no rapid computerized fingerprint database. DNA profiling was still a theoretical concept confined to elite research laboratories. All the detectives had were blood types, hair shafts under a microscope, and shoe prints left in the dusty flower bed beneath the side window. Beneath Clara's fingernails, investigators scraped tiny, microscopic flakes of skin, a desperate defense mounted in her final seconds of life. They collected semen samples from her nightgown, sealed the biological swatches in paper evidence bags, and locked them away in the county coroner's refrigerated vault. They were preserving a ghost, hoping against hope that the future would deliver a technology capable of making the dead speak. Outside, the cul-de-sac had transformed into a carnival of horror. Yellow crime scene tape fluttered in the muggy evening breeze, cordoning off the front yard. Neighbors gathered in tight clusters, whispering behind trembling hands. The prevailing terror was clear. A ruthless predator was on the loose in their quiet suburban enclave. Parents dragged their children inside, bolting doors that had remained unlocked for generations. Hardware stores in towns sold out of deadbolts and window latches before noon the following day. Standing on the perimeter, offering iced water to the sweating deputies and comforting Clara's hysterical mother, was Thomas Vance, known to everyone on the block simply as Tommy. Tommy was 26, quiet, polite, a dependable neighbor who fixed the neighborhood kids' bicycle chains and kept his vintage Chevy spotless. When Detective Vance interviewed him on the front curb that evening, Tommy looked the investigator dead in the eye with mournful sincerity. He claimed he had been working out in his garage with the radio blaring all afternoon, heard nothing unusual, and only came outside when he heard the sirens. His statement was taken down in blue ink on a yellow legal pad, filed under neighborhood canvas, and buried beneath a mountain of incoming tips. He was not a suspect. He was just the nice boy next door. As the days turned into weeks, the investigation spiraled into an agonizing labyrinth of dead ends and false leads. The sheriff's department set up a dedicated tip line, receiving hundreds of calls from across the state. Every transient passing through the nearby rail yard was hauled in for interrogation. Ex-boyfriends, college acquaintances, delivery drivers, and local troublemakers were systematically dragged into the windowless interrogation rooms of the Brazoria County Courthouse. Detectives chased down a red Ford pickup truck that a witness claimed had been idling near the cul-de-sac hours before the murder. They tracked the vehicle 3 counties over, only to find an elderly farmer who had gotten lost looking for a livestock auction. They scrutinized a local prowler who had been arrested for peering into windows 2 miles away, but his blood type did not match the biological secretions recovered from the scene. Every promising lead withered under the harsh glare of scrutiny. The community's grief slowly mutated into a toxic cloud of paranoia. Accusations flew between neighbors. Friends stopped looking each other in the eye at the grocery store. The once idyllic Pecan Grove Lane became a ghost town of drawn blinds and suspicious glances. Everyone wondered which familiar face harbored a murderous rage. Yet, through all the madness, Tommy Vance remained a cornerstone of suburban normalcy. When Clara's parents could no longer bear the sight of their daughter's bedroom and decided to move to San Antonio 6 months later, Tommy helped them load the heavy wooden furniture into the moving truck. He carried the boxes marked with Clara's childhood books, his hands gripping the cardboard with steady, unflinching composure. He hugged Clara's weeping mother on the driveway, telling her that justice would come one day, that the Lord would reveal the truth. He then watched the moving truck disappear down the street, walked back to his own front porch, and sat down on his rocking chair, gazing at the empty, silent house across the lawn. The calendar pages turned, tearing away the years with cruel indifference. 1984 became 1990. The cassette tapes and wood-paneled station wagons of the 80s gave way to the dawn of the digital age. But inside the Brazoria County evidence locker, Case File 84, CR 119 remained frozen in time. The original lead detectives retired, one by one, their hair turning silver, their notebooks handed down to younger deputies who knew Clara Bennett only as a black-and-white photograph of a smiling young woman with feathered hair. The cardboard evidence box, containing Clara's clothes, the stained nightgown, the microscopic fingernail scrapings, and the fingerprint cards, accumulated a thick shroud of dust on the bottom shelf of the unsolved crimes vault. Meanwhile, life on Pecan Grove Lane marched forward. New families moved in, oblivious to the bloodshed that had soaked the floorboards of number 412 decades prior. Trees grew tall, casting long shadows over the pavement. And through it all, Tommy Vance remained. He got married. He raised 2 children. He hosted 4th of July barbecues in his backyard, flipping burgers over glowing charcoal while neighbors laughed and drank beer just yards away from the spot where Clara took her last breath. He was promoted to manager at a local automotive repair plant. He joined the local civic club. He was, by every outward metric, a model citizen, a quiet, gentle pillar of the Texas community. Whenever the local newspaper ran its annual retrospective on the town's most notorious unsolved cold cases, Tommy's friends would occasionally bring it up over a cup of coffee at the local diner. "I still remember that day," Tommy would say, shaking his head with a solemn sigh. "Terrible thing. A real monster did that. I hope they catch the bastard before I die." He spoke with such calculated detachment that nobody, not his wife, not his children, not his closest lifelong friends, ever suspected that the monster they were speaking of was the very man sitting across the table, sipping black coffee with steady, uncalloused hands. By the late 2010s, the landscape of criminal forensics had undergone an unimaginable revolution. The advent of short tandem repeat DNA profiling in the late 90s had solved thousands of cases, but it still required a direct match in the FBI's CODIS database. If a killer had never been arrested for a felony, his DNA profile remained invisible to the system. Tommy Vance had never been arrested. He had never even received a speeding ticket in 3 decades. To the National Criminal Database, he did not exist. In 2023, the Brazoria County Cold Case Task Force was re-energized by a new generation of investigators led by Detective Sarah Lawson. Lawson was a forensic obsessive, a relentless investigator who believed that no crime scene was truly silent if the biological evidence had been properly preserved. She pulled case file 84, CR 119 from the archives. The cardboard was brittle, the yellow legal pads faded, but inside the sealed evidence containers lay the holy grail of modern forensics. The microscopic skin flakes recovered from Clara's fingernails and the stained cotton fabric from her nightgown, preserved in cold storage for nearly 40 years. Lawson knew standard CODIS searches had failed 3 times over the past 2 decades. She needed a new weapon. She turned to investigative genetic genealogy, the groundbreaking scientific discipline that had brought down the Golden State Killer. The task force sent the degraded DNA samples to an advanced private genomics laboratory in the Woodlands, Texas. Using cutting-edge single nucleotide polymorphism sequencing, forensic scientists extracted the fragmented, 4-decade-old DNA strands and built a comprehensive digital profile containing hundreds of thousands of genetic markers. In the spring of 2024, that digital profile was uploaded to public open-source genealogical databases, including GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. The search began not for Clara's killer directly, but for his family tree. For 6 months, genetic genealogists worked in silence, unraveling a vast web of ancestral connections. They mapped out hundreds of second, third, and fourth cousins scattered across Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. They combed through marriage certificates from the 1800s, dusty census logs, military enlistment records, and high school yearbooks. Branch by branch, leaf by leaf, the genetic tree began to narrow. The genealogists identified a great-grandparent couple who had settled in Brazoria County in the early 20th century. From there, they traced every single male descendant born between 1950 and 1965 who had been living within a 50-mile radius of the Bennett home on August 14, 1984. The algorithm spit out 3 potential male candidates. 2 of them had rock-solid alibis. One had been serving on a naval carrier in the Pacific Ocean in the summer of 1984. The other had died in a motorcycle crash in 1981. That left one single name standing at the terminus of the genetic map: Thomas Edward Vance. Detective Lawson stared at the computer screen in utter shock. She pulled the original 1984 case binder, flipping frantically through the handwritten neighborhood canvas reports. There it was, Thomas Vance, age 26. Neighbor at 410, Pecan Grove Lane. Stated he was in his garage. Heard nothing. The killer wasn't a drifter. He wasn't a serial predator roaming the Texas highways. He had lived 20 steps away. He had lived in that exact same house for 40 uninterrupted years. The task force did not move immediately. They could not afford a single procedural mistake that could jeopardize 4 decades of waiting. They needed a direct, uncontaminated reference sample of Tommy Vance's DNA to confirm the genealogical match beyond all legal doubt. In July 2024, an undercover surveillance team was assigned to shadow the 73-year-old grandfather. They watched him drive his silver pickup truck to the local hardware store, pick up his grandchildren from soccer practice, and sit on the patio of a roadside diner eating a ham sandwich. On a sweltering Tuesday afternoon, Tommy Vance walked into a fast food restaurant on Highway 288. He ordered an iced sweet tea in a styrofoam cup, drank half of it, crushed the cup with his hand, tossed it into a public trash can near the exit, and walked out to his truck. Within seconds, an undercover detective in plain clothes walked up to the receptacle, retrieved the crushed cup using sterile forceps, sealed it in a biohazard bag, and rushed it directly to the state crime laboratory under police escort. 72 hours later, the laboratory director called Detective Lawson. The DNA extracted from the saliva on the rim of that discarded styrofoam cup was an exact one-to-one match to the biological profile left on Clara Bennett's body in August 1984. The statistical probability of a random match was 1 in 70 trillion. The 40-year illusion was over. On the morning of August 19, 2024, almost exactly 40 years to the day Clara Bennett was murdered, a convoy of black unmarked law enforcement vehicles pulled silently into the cul-de-sac of Pecan Grove Lane. Tommy Vance was in his front yard, wearing a sun hat and gardening gloves, trimming the rose bushes along the shared property line where Clara's childhood home still stood. When the doors of the tactical units flew open and heavily armed Texas Rangers stepped onto the asphalt with weapons drawn, Tommy did not run. He did not yell. He slowly lowered the pruning shears to the grass, straightened his back, and stared at the approaching officers. "Thomas Edward Vance," Detective Lawson announced, her voice cutting through the humid morning air like a blade. "You are under arrest for the capital murder of Clara Bennett." The neighbors peered through their blinds once again, just as their parents and grandparents had done 4 decades earlier. But this time, they did not watch an ambulance leave with a body bag. They watched a 73-year-old grandfather in handcuffs being guided into the back of a police cruiser, his expression completely blank, his eyes devoid of remorse. Inside the interrogation room at the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office, confronted with 40 years of forensic evidence and the unshakable certainty of DNA science, the grandfatherly facade finally collapsed. Over 6 grueling hours, Tommy Vance confessed. He recounted the blistering heat of that August afternoon in 1984. He described walking across the lawn under the pretense of borrowing a tool, the sudden surge of predatory obsession, the struggle in the hallway, and the chilling ease with which he stepped back across his own lawn, washed the blood from his hands, and resumed his life. The news ripped through Brazoria County like a seismic shockwave. The man who had organized the neighborhood watch, who had prayed with the Bennett family, who had watched children grow up on that very street, was the butcher who had stolen Clara's life. Clara's surviving relatives, now elderly and scattered across the country, received the phone call they had long believed would never come in their lifetimes. Justice had not arrived swiftly, but it had arrived with absolute, unyielding finality. The house on Pecan Grove Lane still stands beneath the towering Texas oaks. The cul-de-sac is quiet once more. But the lesson carved into the history of this small Texas town remains indelible. Evil does not always lurk in the dark alleys or among passing strangers. Sometimes, the darkest nightmare in the world lives right next door, smiling at you across the fence, waiting 40 years for the truth to finally break down the door. The sweltering heat of that August afternoon did not merely bake the asphalt. It seemed to seal the horror directly into the physical landscape of Pecan Grove Lane. To truly understand how a monster could breathe the same air, walk the same sidewalks, and trim the same hedges as his victim for 40 uninterrupted years, one must step back into the blinding glare of 1984, inside the microscopic forensic realities and the psychological labyrinth of a suburban neighborhood transformed into a crime scene. When lead detective Marcus Vance first ducked beneath the yellow banner and crossed the threshold of number 412, the sensory assault was immediate. In forensic pathology, time is an adversary that never stops moving, but in the suffocating stillness of a Texas summer, without central air conditioning operating at full power, biological time accelerates with brutal velocity. The ambient temperature inside the single-story brick ranch was recorded at 88 degrees Fahrenheit. In such heat, post-mortem lividity, the settling of blood in the lower portions of the body, sets in with terrifying speed, fixing the physical reality of death before the sun even dips below the horizon. Clara Bennett lay in the central hallway, positioned between the floral-patterned wallpaper of the entryway and the entrance to the kitchen. Her body was oriented north to south, arms partially splayed in an instinctive posture of self-preservation. Around her, the hardwood floor told a silent, chaotic story. The droplets of blood were not uniform. Forensic bloodstain pattern analysis, though rudimentary in 1984 compared to modern computational fluid dynamics, revealed distinct classifications of spatter: low-velocity pooling directly beneath the primary lacerations, medium-velocity impact patterns radiating across the lower 18 inches of the baseboards, and subtle, elliptical transfer smudges on the door frame that indicated violent, frantic motion. The initial physical examination conducted on scene by the Brazoria County Medical Examiner revealed profound traumatic injuries. Clara had suffered blunt force trauma to the cranial region, specifically the left parietal bone, delivered with an intensity sufficient to cause immediate disorientation. But that was not what took her life. Around her neck, deep, circumferential furrowing marked the presence of a wide ligature, consistent with a heavy cotton cord, a workbench strap, or an unraveled length of utility rope. The tissue beneath the bruising was heavily suffused with dark venous blood, indicating severe asphyxiation. Yet, what arrested the investigators was the lack of destructive forced entry. In suburban Texas during the mid-'80s, property crimes were almost universally accompanied by broken glass, kicked-in deadbolts, or pried aluminum window frames. Here, the exterior lock on the front screen door was intact. The latch on the heavy wooden interior door showed no tool marks, no sheared screws, and no microscopic paint transfer. The aluminum sliding track on the patio door in the rear was completely undisturbed, layered with a fine coat of undisturbed suburban dust. The windows, screened with standard fiberglass mesh to keep out mosquitoes, remained completely sealed from the inside. Every single physical indicator pointed to a chilling conclusion. Clara Bennett had looked through the peephole or heard a knock on the screen, recognized the person standing on the porch, and disengaged the lock herself. On the dining room table, less than 10 feet from where her body lay, investigators cataloged her personal effects. A spiral-bound notebook lay open to notes on American literature and 20th century history. A ballpoint pen rested inside the spine of the book, unclicked, as if set down for a brief, casual interruption. Beside the notebook sat a tall glass of sweet iced tea. The ice cubes had long since melted into a clear layer floating atop the dark amber liquid, but the exterior of the glass still bore the faint, evaporating moisture of a drink poured only minutes before the violence erupted. The front room was not the scene of a ransacking. The television set, a large console unit with simulated wood grain, sat unbothered. A small ceramic bowl on the entryway table held Clara's house keys, 3 $1 bills, and 75 cents in loose change. Her purse hung over the back of a kitchen chair, its wallet intact, containing credit cards, student identification, and family photographs. This was not a burglary gone wrong. It was not the desperate act of a drug addict hunting for pawnable electronics. It was an execution driven by pure, unadulterated predatory impulse. Outside, as dusk settled over the county, the perimeter of Pecan Grove Lane transformed into a chaotic theater of flashing red strobes and crackling police radios. Neighbors stood in small, bewildered clusters on the asphalt, the humid night air buzzing with cicadas and terrified speculation. Among them, lingering near the bumper of a white county cruiser, was 26-year-old Thomas Edward Vance. Tommy Vance appeared, to all external observation, as the archetype of the reliable neighbor. Dressed in grease-stained denim work pants and a short-sleeved cotton shirt with his name stitched above the pocket, he looked every bit the local mechanic he was. He was known throughout the subdivision as a quiet, mechanically gifted young man who would readily assist an elderly resident with a stalled lawnmower or change the alternator on a neighbor's car without asking for a dime. His own home at number 410 was separated from the Bennett residence by merely 25 feet of manicured lawn, a low row of privet hedges, and a standard metal driveway culvert. When Deputy Robert Miller approached Tommy during the initial street canvass at approximately 8:15 p.m., Vance did not flinch, look away, or exhibit autonomic nervous system markers of deception. When asked to account for his movements over the preceding 4 hours, his narrative was effortless, mundane, and seemingly bulletproof. He explained that he had returned home from his shift at the local transmission repair shop at approximately 4:45 p.m. The weather had been sweltering, so he had retreated immediately to his detached double garage to work on a customer's carburetor. He stated that he had turned on a high-velocity industrial floor fan and tuned the garage radio to a local rock station at high volume to drown out the drone of the heat. "I had the fan blowing right in my face and the tools clanging around," Tommy told the deputy, his voice steady, carrying a tone of mild exhaustion and somber curiosity. "I didn't hear a single yell, didn't hear a dog bark. The first thing I knew something was wrong was when your patrol cars came tearing down the street with the sirens howling. Is Clara okay? What happened over there?" The deputy, operating within the limited investigative protocols of 1984, scribbled the statement into a pocket notebook. Vance, Thomas E. 410, Pecan Grove. Neighbor. In garage working on vehicle with loud fan/radio running. Heard nothing suspicious. Appears cooperative. At that exact moment, the biological remnants of the murder were already drying on Vance's skin beneath the sleeves of his work shirt, microscopic and invisible, while the physical tools he had used lay concealed within the ordinary clutter of his own home. But in an era where police investigations relied almost exclusively on eyewitness accounts, direct confessions, matching blood groups, and clear physical alibis, Tommy Vance's ordinary persona was an impenetrable fortress. The days following the murder were characterized by an aggressive, wide-ranging manhunt that cast suspicion everywhere except where it truly belonged. The Brazoria County Sheriff's Department established an incident command center in the municipal annex, pinning a large topographical map of the county to the corkboard. Detectives tracked down every registered sex offender within a 30-mile perimeter, hauling in men with prior convictions for peeping Tom incidents, indecent exposure, and domestic violence. They interrogated long-haul truck drivers who had stopped at the diesel depot on the nearby state highway. They scrutinized Clara's circle of university friends, pulling in former boyfriends, male lab partners, and casual acquaintances for polygraph examinations. Each lead flared up with sensational promise before collapsing under rigorous cross-examination. The polygraphs proved inconclusive or completely cleared the subjects. The tire tracks cast from the soft earth near the roadside ditch yielded common Goodyear tread patterns shared by thousands of passenger vehicles across the state of Texas. The physical fingerprint impressions lifted from the exterior doorknob of the Bennett residence belonged either to Clara, her parents, or the local mail carrier. As the physical evidence reached an insurmountable dead end, the psychological landscape of Pecan Grove Lane curdled into toxic paranoia. Trust, the invisible currency that held mid-century American suburbs together, disintegrated overnight. Residents who had shared barbecues and tool sets began eyeing each other with cold, defensive suspicion. Every father walking his dog after sunset was viewed through the prism of a potential butcher. Deadbolt sales in Brazoria County skyrocketed by 400% in the autumn of 1984. Window pins, motion-activated floodlights, and guard dogs replaced open screen doors and unlocked screen porches. Throughout this descent into collective paranoia, Tommy Vance functioned as an anchor of calm for the shattered community. When Clara's grieving parents, broken by the unbearable weight of living inside the home where their daughter had been slaughtered, announced their decision to sell the property and relocate, Tommy was among the first to offer his physical labor. He spent an entire Saturday in November carrying heavy oak dressers, boxes of kitchenware, and Clara's childhood keepsakes onto the ramp of a moving van. He worked side by side with Clara's father, sweating beneath the autumn sun, offering soft-spoken words of religious consolation. God works in mysterious ways, Mr. Bennett, Tommy reportedly murmured as he secured the rear latch of the moving truck. Whoever did this will answer for it. If not in this life, then before the judgment seat. It was a performance of sociopathic mastery, an absolute disconnection between internal monstrous reality and external human presentation. Tommy Vance did not experience the paralyzing guilt or panic that drives ordinary criminals to flee the jurisdiction, change their identities, or turn to self-destructive behaviors. Instead, he derived a twisted, predatory equilibrium from staying precisely where the crime had occurred. By remaining at 410 Pecan Grove Lane, he maintained total psychological dominion over the crime scene. Every morning when he stepped out onto his front porch to collect the morning newspaper, he could look across the low hedge at the window of Clara's bedroom, knowing that he had committed the ultimate transgression and that the entire weight of the American justice system was utterly blind to his presence. Inside the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office, the Bennett case file, designated 84 CR 119, gradually moved from the center of the active homicide desk to the filing cabinets against the back wall. Months turned into years. Lead investigators retired, took medical leave, or passed away, leaving the original case notes to yellow inside manila folders. The technological limitations of the era had effectively slammed the door on the investigation. The semen extracts collected from Clara's nightgown and the tiny epithelial skin scrapings preserved from beneath her fingernails remained sealed in glass test tubes and paper evidence envelopes, sitting inside refrigerated evidence vaults where the temperatures hovered near freezing. To the detectives of 1984, those envelopes represented a frustrating failure, biological material that could only confirm a non-secreta blood type of Group O, a trait shared by nearly 45% of the male population in North America. They had no way of knowing that within those biological fragments lay a microscopic, indestructible digital blueprint of the killer's identity, waiting for a scientific paradigm that would not exist for another 4 decades. As the 1980s gave way to the 1990s and the dawn of the 21st century, Tommy Vance continued to live his meticulously constructed lie. He married a woman from a neighboring church, a quiet woman who saw in Tommy a steady, hardworking, and deeply religious partner. Together, they raised 2 children in that very same house on Pecan Grove Lane. His children played tag on the front lawn, their bare feet running across the grass, where their father had walked back to his garage with blood on his hands decades earlier. Tommy was promoted to shop foreman, managing teams of young mechanics, mentoring apprentices, and receiving plaques of appreciation from the local Chamber of Commerce for his decades of honest business practices. He became an active figure in his local civic organization, participating in fundraisers for youth sports and organizing neighborhood cleanup drives. Whenever violent crime made the local headlines, Tommy would shake his head at the dinner table, lamenting the moral decline of modern society and emphasizing the necessity of law and order. He lived in absolute safety, shielded not by a brilliant criminal intellect or a complex web of deceit, but by the sheer, terrifying banality of his everyday life. He was invisible because he fit the precise definition of what society considered harmless. Yet, deep within the climate-controlled vaults of the State Forensic Archives, the physical evidence of August 14, 1984, did not degrade. The DNA molecules, tightly coiled strands of deoxyribonucleic acid containing millions of base pairs, remained chemically stable within the dried biological matrices. The killer had left his very essence on Clara Bennett's body, and while the human world moved on, forgot, and aged, the physical universe preserved the signature of his crime with absolute, mathematical perfection. By the time the year 2020 arrived, the landscape of criminal investigation had shifted fundamentally. A new generation of detectives, equipped with technologies that resembled science fiction to the investigators of 1984, began looking back into the cold vaults of unsolved murders. Case File 84, CR 119 sat waiting, a forgotten time capsule of brutality, poised to ignite a forensic chain reaction that would tear the facade off 410, Pecan Grove Lane, and bring the monster of Brazoria County face-to-face with the relentless, unyielding machinery of modern justice.